You are waiting for something. Maybe you know exactly what it is. Maybe it is so familiar, so deeply built into the background of your daily life that you have stopped noticing it. But it is there. The thing you are going to do when the time is right. The life you are going to start living when the conditions are better. The person you are going to become when you are ready. You are waiting for the right moment. And here is the truth that nobody wants to hear. The truth that is uncomfortable precisely because it is so completely and obviously true once you see it clearly. The right moment is never coming. Not because life is cruel, not because you are unlucky, but because the right moment is not a real thing. It is a story. A very convincing, very comfortable, very dangerous story that the frightened part of your mind tells you to protect you from the risk of actually trying. Because trying means possibly failing, and failing is painful. And the mind, which is designed above all else to protect you from pain, has found a perfect solution. It does not tell you that you are afraid. Fear sounds weak, and you do not want to be weak. Instead, it tells you that the time is not right yet, that you need more preparation, that the conditions are not quite perfect, that you will begin, definitely, absolutely, without question, just not today, tomorrow, next week, after the holidays, when things settle down, when the kids are older, when you have more money, when you feel more confident, when you are ready. And every single day that passes, the gap between where you are and where you want to be grows a little wider. And the story about why today is not the right day gets a little more elaborate. And the life you are going to live recedes a little further into the distance. Until one day, you look up and realize that years have passed, and the moment never came, and you are still waiting. That day does not have to be yours, but it will be unless you make a different choice, starting right now. Let me tell you about a man named Mel. He was in his late 30s, lying awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling of a house his family was about to lose because the business he had launched had failed, and they were drowning in debt. He had a morning interview that could change everything. He knew he needed to get up, to prepare, to be ready, but he could not move. He lay there, paralyzed, as the minutes ticked by and the darkness pressed in. And then, something happened. He had an idea so simple it was almost embarrassing. He decided to count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then move. Not when he felt ready. Not when the fear went away, not when the motivation arrived. 5 seconds and then move, regardless of everything else. He got up. He went to the interview. He got the job. That moment became the foundation of what Mel Robbins would later call the 5-second rule. The insight that the window between impulse and action is exactly 5 seconds wide, and that if you do not act within those 5 seconds, your brain will kill the impulse, will generate a reason to wait, will find a justification for staying still. 5 seconds. That is all that separates the person who moves from the person who waits. Not talent, not perfect conditions, not readiness. 5 seconds of courage, applied before the mind can manufacture a reason to hesitate. But why does this happen? Why does the mind so reliably, so consistently, sabotage the very actions that would move us toward the life we say we want? The answer lies in understanding how the human brain actually works, and specifically, in understanding the gap between two systems that are always running simultaneously inside you. The first system is ancient. It is the part of your brain that evolved over millions of years to keep you alive in a dangerous world. It monitors your environment constantly for threats. It responds to uncertainty, to novelty, to the unfamiliar with alarm, because in the ancient world, uncertainty often meant danger. The unknown bush might contain a predator. The unfamiliar tribe might be hostile. The new behavior might lead to rejection from the group, and rejection from the group meant death. This system is fast, powerful, and almost entirely automatic. It does not deliberate. It does not weigh options carefully. It reacts. And one of its most powerful reactions is the impulse to freeze, to wait, to gather more information, to stay in the familiar until the situation becomes clearer. The second system is newer. It is the part of your brain that can think ahead, that can imagine the future, that can reason about risk and reward and long-term consequences. It is the part that knows, clearly and articulately, what you want your life to look like and what you need to do to get there. The tragedy of the human condition is that these two systems are constantly in conflict, and the ancient system, the one that generates fear and hesitation, and the compelling feeling that now is not quite the right time, is faster, louder, and more emotionally powerful than the reasoning system. This is why willpower does not work. Willpower is the reasoning system trying to arm wrestle the ancient system into submission, and the ancient system almost always wins because it has been winning these fights for millions of years, and it is very, very good at it. What works is not willpower. What works is action taken before the ancient system has time to mobilize. 5 seconds. A decision made in the window before fear can construct its argument. But let us go deeper than tactics, because the 5-second rule is a tool, and tools are useful, but what we are really talking about today is something more fundamental. We are talking about a philosophy of life, a way of seeing time and possibility and your own potential that is radically different from the way most people see it. Most people treat their life as a draft. They are living in the rough version, the preliminary sketch, the beta test, and the real thing, the final polished version where they are who they want to be and doing what they want to do, is coming later. They are in the waiting room of their own existence, filling time until the real appointment begins. This is the most costly mistake a human being can make, because there is no later version. There is no final polished life waiting to begin when the conditions are right. There is only this moment, this day, this version of you with your current capabilities and your current circumstances and your current imperfect, unfinished, genuinely alive existence. The draft is the book. The rough version is the only version, and every day spent waiting for a better version to begin is a day subtracted from the only life you actually have. The philosopher William James, one of the founders of modern psychology, understood this with extraordinary clarity. He wrote that the great use of life is to spend it for something that will outlast it. But he also understood that spending it requires actually living it, actually beginning, actually moving. He suffered for years from depression and paralysis, a brilliant mind trapped in a loop of indecision and self-doubt. And then one day, he made a decision that he would later describe as the turning point of his life. He decided to act as if his choices mattered, to behave as if he had free will, as if his actions had consequences, as if the life he was living was real and not a waiting room. He began. Imperfectly, uncertainly, without any guarantee that it would work, he began. And his life changed completely. Not because the conditions changed, not because he suddenly became ready, but because he stopped waiting for readiness and started practicing it. This is the secret that waiting hides from you. Readiness is not a state you reach before you begin. It is a state you develop by beginning. Confidence does not precede action, it follows from it. Clarity does not arrive before you start, it emerges from the act of starting. The person who waits to feel ready before they begin will wait forever, because the feeling of readiness is generated by experience, and experience can only be accumulated by doing, and doing requires beginning before you feel ready. Begin before you are ready. This is not recklessness. It is the only realistic path to ever being ready at all. Now let me talk about something that the waiting habit costs you that most people never calculate. It costs you not just time, but identity. Because who you are is not fixed. It is not a static thing that you simply reveal over the course of your life, like a sculpture being uncovered from marble that was always there. Your identity is dynamic. It is built through your choices and your actions and your experiences. Every time you do something, you are not just accomplishing a task, you are telling yourself a story about who you are. When you act, when you begin despite the fear, when you move before you feel ready, when you do the thing rather than waiting to do the thing, you are telling yourself, I am someone who acts. I am someone who begins. I am someone who does not let fear make my decisions. And that story, told repeatedly through action, becomes your character. becomes who you actually are, not just who you wish you were. But when you wait, when you consistently choose the comfort of delay over the discomfort of action, you are also telling yourself a story. I am someone who is not quite ready yet. I am someone who needs better conditions. I am someone who will get to it eventually. And that story also becomes your character, becomes the identity that shapes every subsequent choice, becomes the pattern that gets more deeply grooved into who you are with every day that passes. This is why waiting is not neutral. It is not simply the absence of action, harmlessly filling time until you are ready to begin. Waiting is an active choice with active consequences. Every day you wait, you are reinforcing the identity of a person who waits. Every day you begin, you are reinforcing the identity of a person who begins. Which identity do you want? The answer to that question is not found in how you feel about it. It is found in what you do today. Let me tell you about another person who understood this. Her name was Vera Wang. Today, she is one of the most celebrated fashion designers in the world. But she did not begin designing until she was 40 years old. For most of her life, she was a figure skater, then a fashion editor at Vogue. She dreamed of designing. She had the eye, the taste, the vision. But she waited. There was always a reason why now was not quite the right time. Then, at 39, she got engaged and could not find a wedding dress she loved. So she designed her own. And in that act, that single act of doing rather than waiting, she discovered not just a skill, but a calling. A year later, she opened her first bridal boutique. A decade later, she was dressing the most famous women in the world. What would have happened if she had waited for the right moment? If she had kept finding reasons why now was not yet the time? The world would never have known Vera Wang. And more importantly, Vera Wang would never have known what she was capable of. The world is full of Vera Wangs who never designed the dress, who kept waiting for the moment that never came, who died with the thing they were capable of still inside them, unlived and unexpressed and unknown even to themselves. Do not be that person. Now, I want to talk about something practical, because inspiration without direction is just emotion. It moves through you and leaves without changing anything. So let us talk about how to actually break the waiting habit. How to move from the permanent future tense, I am going to, someday, into the present tense of a life actually being lived. The first practice is to make the decision smaller. One of the primary reasons people wait is that the thing they want to do feels enormous. Start a business, write a book, learn a language, get fit, change careers. These are not small tasks. They are life-scale commitments that require sustained effort over months and years. And when you look at the whole mountain from the bottom, it is easy to decide that today is not the right day to begin climbing. But you do not climb a mountain by looking at the summit. You climb it by taking one step, and then another. And the question is never, can I climb this entire mountain today? The answer to that is always no. The question is, can I take one step today? And the answer to that is always yes. What is the smallest possible version of the thing you want to begin? Not the full commitment, not the whole mountain, the single step, the first sentence of the book, the first 10 minutes of the workout, the first lesson, the first email, the first conversation. Find that step. It should be so small that it feels almost embarrassingly easy. So small that the part of your mind that generates resistance looks at it and decides it is not worth the effort of stopping you. And then do it. Today. Not tomorrow. Today. The second practice is to remove the conditions. Listen to the sentences you use when you talk about what you are going to do. Really listen to them, because they will reveal the conditions you have attached to beginning. I will start when I have more time. I will begin when I feel more confident. I will do it when things calm down. I will try when I have more money. Every one of those sentences contains a condition, and conditions are permission slips that you give to the future to control the present. Remove them. Cross them out. Rewrite the sentence without the condition. Not, I will start when I have more time. I will start today with the time I have. Not, I will begin when I feel more confident. I will begin today and confidence will follow. Not, I will do it when things calm down. I will do it in the chaos because the chaos is not temporary. It is the permanent condition of a full and engaged human life. Remove the conditions. They are not protecting you. They are imprisoning you. The third practice is to make yourself accountable to someone else. The commitment you make only to yourself is the easiest commitment to break, because the only person who knows you broke it is you. And you are very good at forgiving yourself, at finding reasonable explanations for why today did not work out and tomorrow will be different. Tell someone, not everyone, you do not need an audience, but one person whose opinion matters to you. Tell them what you are going to do and when you are going to do it. Create a social commitment that is harder to walk away from than a private one. This is not weakness. It is using the social nature of human beings, the deep-wired care about how we are seen by the people we respect, in the service of your growth rather than your comfort. And the fourth practice is the most important of all. It is to make peace with imperfection. The right moment that you are waiting for is, at its core, the moment when you will be good enough, prepared enough, skilled enough, confident enough, ready enough. It is the moment when you can begin without the risk of doing it badly, without the vulnerability of being seen as someone who is still learning, without the discomfort of not knowing exactly what you are doing. That moment is not coming, because that moment does not exist. Not for you, not for anyone. Every person who has ever done anything remarkable began by doing it badly. Every writer wrote terrible first sentences. Every entrepreneur launched imperfect products. Every great speaker gave awkward early talks. Every athlete was once clumsy and slow and deeply uncertain of what they were doing. The difference between the people who became excellent and the people who never began is not that the excellent ones were better at the start. It is that they were willing to be bad at the start, willing to show up imperfect, to learn in public, to fail and adjust and try again without requiring the process to be comfortable or the outcome to be guaranteed. Excellence is not a prerequisite for beginning. It is a reward for having begun and kept going. Embrace the imperfection, not as something to be endured until you get better, but as the actual substance of growth. The awkward version of you that starts today is not an embarrassment. It is the necessary beginning of the capable version of you that will exist in 6 months if you keep going. We are almost at the end, and I want to leave you with something that I hope stays with you, not just today, but every day when the familiar voice of waiting begins to construct its latest argument for delay. Think about the oldest person you have ever known, someone at the very end of a long life. Think about what that person knew from the vantage point of all those years that younger people do not yet understand. They knew that it goes fast, that the years that feel endless when you are living them feel impossibly brief in retrospect, that the things you thought you had plenty of time for turned out to have had a deadline you did not see coming, that the moments you were going to get to eventually arrived and passed while you were waiting for something else. They knew that the regrets that sting most at the end are not the things you tried and failed at. You can make peace with failure. Failure, at least, means you lived fully enough to risk something. The regrets that are hardest to carry are the things you never tried, the person you never became, the life you kept meaning to start. Do not save your life for later. It is not a special occasion. It is the only occasion. The right moment is not coming. But this moment, this imperfect, ordinary, unremarkable moment that you are in right now, this moment is real. This moment is yours. And what you do with it is the only answer that matters to every question you have ever asked about who you are and what your life is worth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin.